My bratty little sister ruined my entire graduation, but somehow it's still all my fault. Y'all really wanted to hear this graduation story, and let me tell ya, it's probably crazier than you even expect it to be. I graduated last year, which was obviously a huge accomplishment for me. And after my graduation ceremony, we rented out a little space in a restaurant where my friends, my family, my fiance, we all went to celebrate after the ceremony. It was nothing extravagant. We just got some appetizers, some drinks, and it was just the people that I loved all hanging out, celebrating me. That was the issue, we were celebrating me. Some people in my family don't like that. Now this detail is crucially important. I was obsessed with those cakes that had the little bows on them. You know what I mean? Like here, like this kind of cake. And I really wanted one for my graduation, but they were pretty expensive. So my best friend, who is not a baker, decided that she was gonna make the cake. And that girl spent hours making this cake for me. And it actually looked professionally made, but it was even better than a cake I would have gotten from a professional because she made it for me. It was one of the sweetest things ever. And I was talking about that cake and how much I loved it the entire ceremony. I was just so grateful to her for doing something so thoughtful for me. After about an hour and a half of being there, my friends start getting up and giving speeches about me, which was embarrassing at first, but also really thoughtful and cute. And they go one by one, and it's almost like wedding speeches, honestly, talking about how much they love me, how they're so proud of me, how much I've grown in the past few years. During all these speeches, it's very clear that my little sister is intentionally not paying attention. She's on her phone. She's not looking at anybody speaking, which is rude, but I know her, okay? It's not about her. She's upset about it, but I was ignoring her because I could not even let her bother me at all during my day. But she decided that being subtle about being upset wasn't enough. No one was giving her attention, so she had to make bigger moves. It starts all really going downhill when my fiance gets up and starts giving a speech. He's talking about how much he loves me, how proud he is of me. Everyone's like looking at each other like, it's so sweet, it's so sweet. And that's when I hear a sound that sounds like a dying cat. It is the loudest screech, like my ears are hurting. Everyone turns to look, and guess what? I'm sure you did. It was my little sister, losing her absolute mind. Ugly, crying, like screaming. I was like, why are we screaming? I assume that something is wrong, actually. Like my first thought isn't even she's trying to get attention, because it was that dramatic of a cry that I was like, there's no way that she's just doing this for attention. I think that she got a text that something terrible happened or something. Why did I assume the best? I don't know. So my mom starts giving my fiance signs to stop his speech. She's like, and my dad immediately had rushed over to my bratty little sister and is kneeling down next to her, trying to ask her what's wrong. My mom goes over there, she figures out what's wrong, and we're all just looking at each other, confused about what's going on. And honestly, I'm worried. I truly think something really bad has happened. That's when my mom comes up to me and whispers in my ear, Kels, can you get up and give a little speech about your sister's accomplishments? I was like, what? Me? About her? Like, me get up and talk about her accomplishment? Why? Why? And that's when my mom tells me, well, you know, your little sister just got rejected from her grad program that she really wanted to go to, so it's kind of hard for her right now. So if you could just, get up there and give a little speech. She must have seen the look on my face, which was this. And my mom was like, you know what? Forget it. My mom tells my dad, who is still comforting my little sister, that he should take her home. Yep, of course. Leave my graduation ceremony before it's over, before he's even had a chance to give a speech, because my parents were supposed to give a speech about how they were proud of me after my fiance. That didn't happen. And here is where I absolutely lose it. My dad starts walking my little sister out, and that's when they pass the cake, the cake that my best friend spent hours and time and actually a fair amount of money on. My little sister takes one look at that cake, the cake that I have been talking about how excited I was the whole night. She Hulk smashes it. She just, boom, bah. We are all in absolute shock. I mean, not my parents, but everybody else there, yeah, they were in shock. We are all just speechless, like. And that's when I turn and I look at my friend's face who made this cake. And this is my friend who's just the most wholesome, sweet, kind-hearted girl in the world. And her eyes are watering. It was truly one of the most heartbreaking scenes I've ever witnessed in my entire life, of my most kind-hearted friend who spent all this time making me this special cake, just watching it smashed. All of her hard work, all of her effort, right in front of her face. And it was one of those things that, like, obviously, she didn't want to cause a scene. So I could tell, like, I know this girl very well. So I could tell she was trying to hold back tears, but I mean, I would have felt the exact same way. Not only are you ruining and impacting my day, but you're disrespecting my friends who actually care about me and actually are the ones putting in an effort to make today special for me. At this point, I start crying. I am just so frustrated and mad. I'm feeling so many different emotions, and my dad just dragged my little sister out without even apologizing. Nobody said anything, and my mom's just like, oh, my poor baby. Not about me, about my little sister, because my graduation ceremony was really hard for her. Celebrating me was hard for her. It always has been. As I am clearly extremely upset, my friends and fiance are all around me comforting me, but my mom doesn't even notice because she's too busy texting my dad, making sure that my little sister is okay. Yeah, again, like, really worried about her. It was like a really, really hard day for her. One of my best friends takes me to the bathroom. She's like, okay, let's get away from this whole scene. We'll clean you up. It'll be great. And as I'm going to the bathroom, my mom follows me and my friend out and starts reprimanding me for not stopping the speech and comforting my little sister as soon as I saw her start crying. And I kind of lose it at that point. I'm like, are you actually kidding me right now? What are you talking about? This is ridiculous. My mom just kept saying, I cannot believe how selfish you're being. You know how hard it is for your little sister. She didn't get into her dream grad program, and she's never going to get a graduation like this. I was like, you know what? She applied to one single grad school that she was not qualified for. Like, her GPA and her testing scores were nowhere near good enough to get in. Like, not even feasible. So we all knew she wasn't going to get in. Like, I told her this. I was like, hey, if you really want to go to grad school, you need to apply to schools that are actually, like, within your ranges. And she was like, no, if I don't get into this school, then I don't even want to go. Okay, she made that choice. She didn't get in. Like, why is she surprised by that? I was like, you know what, Mom? That's not my problem. It's just the first time she's ever been told no to something she's ever wanted in her entire life. We tried to keep celebrating at that point, but the vibe was kind of dead. And everybody was just not in a good mood. And I didn't even get to celebrate with any cake. Like, that could have at least made it a little better, but couldn't do that. She Hulk smashed it. But I mean, it's all my fault, right? I just should have been more understanding of her situation.
Have you ever been on a date with a guy who's just too comfortable immediately? Like, initially, you're just like, I don't like how he's operating. I had a first date, and this guy, first of all, he wore a bright orange hoodie, and he kept his phone and his wallet in his front pouch, like in the front pouch. And he was wearing a white baseball cap, and he was wearing the hood pulled up. That was his outfit when I first ran into him. But outfit aside, I say hello, I sit down on the bar stool next to him, and he immediately jumps up and he goes, I gotta go check on my food. And I'm thinking, like, this bar doesn't serve food like that. And he goes, yeah, I ordered some, and then he says he ordered food from the food truck outside. Then as he's walking away, he just goes, but put your drink on my tab, and he leaves. So I'm just like, okay. So the bartender comes up to me, and he's like, what would you like to order? I order my drink, and then he goes, what's the last name? And I realize I don't know the last name because I don't know this man. I only know his first name. Thank goodness my date comes back in and gives the last name, and I'm like, yeah, that's what the drink's on, thanks. My date comes back with chicken tenders and fries. This date, he sits at the bar next to me, and he just goes, oh, you can have some if you want. What? And then he goes, as he's like shoving fries in his mouth, he goes, hey, Jay, tell me about your day. Jay is not my nickname. I don't go by Jay. I never have. I don't like nicknames. But I'm like, you nicknaming me. And so I'm like, oh, actually, it's Ginny. And he goes, yeah, I know. I just felt like I'd call you Jay. Then, as I'm talking about about my day, this man is licking his fingers as he's eating, and then after he's licked all of his fingers, he puts his hand on my knee next, and I'm just like, what is going on here? So I get up to go to the restroom because I want to I just need to get recentered. I'm in the restroom. There's kind of a long line, obviously. So, but when I come back, it's probably been maybe 8 minutes or so. I sit back down next to him. I'm like, sorry, the line was long, and he goes, oh, I thought you were taking a shit. What? And then the bartender comes back over and asks if I want another drink. I decline. I'm like, I'm okay. Just the one's fine. Thank you. And then my date goes, oh, are you done? Then he downs his drink, puts his hand back on my knee, and he goes, well, I mean, we can get out of here if you want. I live around the corner.